So it's important to stay calm, during the storm and find your way out.
This is Eduardo Tellez, and he has cracked the code to the turtle position. Some of you might know the turtle as a defensive position, and while in recent years it's gotten more attention from high-level grapplers like Craig Jones in his power bottom instructional, or in Lachlan Giles' turtle defense course, but for the last 20 years, the master of the turtle has been without a doubt Eduardo Tellez. Just listen to what Bernardo had to say.
Guys, Tellez is very, very famous about his turtle guard, right? About his turtle, and he's the best turtle that I ever seen in Jiu Jitsu.
After watching all of Tellez's competition footage, I've come to realize that Tellez uses a 3-part strategy to make his turtle work, and what I found might surprise you. So let's dive in. So how does Tellez get to his turtle guard? First off, he likes to start his matches by pulling guard. Tellez pulls guard into what I like to call the resting position, which is similar to a seated guard, but Tellez does something really different here. He leans really far forward, almost putting his chest towards the mat, with his legs in a butterfly or outstretched position. And this actually starts his turtle system. For instance, if his opponent tries to pass to his side or to his back, Tellez can easily transition to his turtle guard, which we can see happens in these matches. And if his opponent tries a more direct approach like a knee cut pass, Tellez can start what I like to call the turtle half guard, which we'll see later. Or if his opponent tries to stay too far away, he can threaten to wrestle up with either the single leg or the double leg, with the resting position often serving as his reset point, especially when his opponents refuse to engage him, which happens a lot. Which brings us to part 2, the turtle guard. And before we get into the details of the turtle guard, there's a few key rules that you'll need to know beforehand. Rule number 1, protect your neck. Rule number 2, defend the hooks. Rule number 3, stay relaxed. And rule number 4, keep your eyes on your opponent. So keep those in mind as we continue. I've already mentioned that Tellez will turtle whenever his opponent passes to his side or to his back.
Relax, try to wait a little bit more, be patient, wait for the right momentum.
But once in the turtle, Tellez isn't just relaxing and letting his opponent control the match. He often looks for the near side leg control. Grabbing either outside of the leg or inside of the leg. Hand fighting any choking grips like the seatbelt grip or the cross collar grip. Looking to place one of his legs between his opponent's legs, or sitting back to his guard. Tellez has fine-tuned his game to account for all of his opponent's attacks. We can see that when his opponent is attacking the front of the turtle, he focuses heavily on the hand fight and staying low in order to defend the guillotine and the front headlock, leaving his opponent with 2 options. Option 1, commit to the guillotine by sitting back to their guard, or option 2, let go of their arm control in order to move towards his back. If they go with option 1, Tellez will defend by following their movement on top like so. Otherwise, he moves on to the next part of his turtle guard system. Once on the side of Tellez's turtle, he immediately looks for the inside leg control with his arm. This grip slows his opponent down and can also be used to set up his reversals. Tellez also uses this position to look for what I like to call the inside leg lace, which is where he's able to make a hook between his opponent's legs using his leg. This gives him greater control over his opponent's mobility, as well as options to either re-guard into his half guard or to roll through for leg attacks. The biggest threat from this position are the upper body controls, such as the seatbelt grip, the collar grips, or the rear body lock. But Tellez's preparation in establishing his grips early on make it really hard for his opponents to capitalize on their grips. And if they try to force the back take from here, it will often end with them getting reversed, like we see in this match. So with the front and sides of Tellez's turtle being a no-go zone, his opponents will often try to stay directly behind him in order to avoid his reversals. But Tellez has also figured this out by keeping his head and upper body away from his opponent and using his arms to frame off of their legs. Being directly behind Tellez is the least maintainable position that they could choose, as it leaves them with only 2 options. Either give Tellez enough space to re-guard right back into his resting position, which restarts the whole turtle sequence all over again, or try and jump for the hooks. Making hooks on Tellez is no easy feat, as he will immediately go on the defensive and is a master of defending the hooks, as he will prioritize not letting his opponent establish their hooks while also seeking to keep his hips above his opponent's hips, all this while protecting his neck. But say his opponent does manage to make one hook. Well, that still won't stop Teles, as he's made it a habit of using his escape to reverse his opponent and come out on top. And if his opponent is too high up on his back, he can simply back away, as we see being done in this match. We can also see one of his students, Sergio Rios, performing a similar escape. The most surprising thing that I've learned from watching Teles is just how little time he actually spends in the turtle guard. He's always hand fighting to establish his grips and leg positioning, so he's very rarely static in his turtle guard. We can see in his earlier matches before he developed all of these tactics that he would often get stuck in the turtle guard. Teles had perfected his turtle guard defense and a way to consistently get to his turtle guard, but he still needed something more, which brings us to part 3, the turtle half guard. With the development of Teles' half guard, or the turtle half guard as I like to call it, Teles was finally able to turn the turtle guard from a defensive position into an offensive position. Similar to the single leg half guard, the turtle half guard uses the same exact leg positioning, but instead of playing with the underhook arm around the leg or the waist, instead that arm is placed in front of the opponent's body, almost as if trying to put your chest to the mat. From here, Teles has a large array of attacks. He can look for the inside leg control for his sweeps both into and reversing his opponent over his body. If his opponent's arm is within reach, he has the Kimura attack. There's also the back attack, which he used to beat Felipe Pena, one of the best no-gi artists in the world. In worst case, he can always switch back to the single leg. The turtle half guard was the missing link in Teles' game, and once he developed that, he was able to connect his resting position to his turtle guard system, and vice versa, making him one of the most difficult grapplers to fight due to his unorthodox style. Just listen to what 5-time IBJJF black belt and 2-time ADCC world champion Saulo Ribeiro has to say.
One of the most unorthodox games in the sport, and also a friend of the family, and also one of the toughest guys I've ever fought in my life.
And even his students think his game is out of the ordinary.
It's hard to explain, you know, we do like things like another person tried to do, but it's weird, you know, but for us it works.
Therein lies the strength in Teles' game. While other styles may be more consistent in their execution of techniques, Teles' turtle guard system gives the user the ability to chain several movements together that'll keep their opponent guessing. We can see this in a lot of Teles' matches, where often his opponent won't know how to approach the match with him. This variability also lends itself to new innovation, as even Teles' students have added their techniques to his game, as well as other high-level athletes adding their takes onto the turtle position. And a lot of the defense has even made its way over into the MMA world, which has led to the creation of new strategies and guards like the octopus guard. However, as I've touched on earlier, there are some rather large downsides to the turtle guard, mainly it being a defensive position, so you won't get points for reversals from the turtle guard under most rule sets. The most overlooked fact that no one seems to talk about is that size may play a large role in the ability to play this style at the highest level. Standing at over 6 feet tall, or 182 centimeters, and weighing in at 207 pounds, or 94 kilograms, Teles is by no means a small guy, so there is an innate risk in trying to get to his back versus a smaller person's back. So keep that in mind if you plan on experimenting with this style of play. Some other overlooked facts are that Teles actually has good takedowns, and while he doesn't show them off as much in the gi, he tends to utilize them more in no-gi. So the threat of him wrestling up from the resting position or from the turtle guard are always a large variable. He's also super flexible for his size. I mean, just look at him. And the most important overlooked fact is that Teles is actually really well-rounded and has phenomenal defense. In fact, I could only find 2 instances of him getting caught in chokes. So all in all, I believe Teles' turtle guard system is a viable option for those of you out there struggling to make a guard work.
I think it's a really good position, you know, to defend.
And to tell the truth, I used to play a lot of turtle guard back in the day before developing my open guard and half guard, and it still saves me whenever I end up in a bad position. But if you still find yourself having a hard time developing your guard, be sure to check out this next video right over here.
You gotta persist. You gotta compete a lot. That's how, you know, that's how I learned, you know. You gotta compete, and then you finally start winning, you know, and then it starts to getting easier each time.